Hey guys, welcome to the 10th annual Data Center Anti-Conference. We're here in Austin, Texas. I have the pleasure of sitting down with Nucor and talking to Daniel. And man, let's jump into it. We're at a pretty exciting event where we talk a lot about the data center space and some of the things we see in it. And I know you guys are a big part of it and making a big push to scale with it. So why don't you introduce yourself, man, and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Appreciate it, Jesse, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
This event has been incredible. I mean, we're in the heart of Austin, so many people, and just building connections face-to-face as we're doing now is incredible. So thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. My name is Daniel Aguirre. I'm the commercial director at Nucor, really focused in the data center sector. And to your point, right, how do we scale or utilize our scale, rather, to support this data center infrastructure as quickly as it's moving today?
Yep. No, for sure. And you know, it's interesting because I've been able to talk to a couple people today, and you know what people don't realize is the scale at which we're building, what we're deploying, and how we're doing it. It's never been done, right? And it's we like to say that 2025 to this industry is what 1925 was to the automobile industry, right? And you know, with you guys being in steel, and you were telling me something interesting about the 4S's, or why don't you tell us what that is?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jesse. So we work with some of the largest companies in the world in this space, and we've created partnerships with them over decades to support their growth and their vision. And as we've worked with them and grow these partnerships, we've identified 4 common themes, and we call them the 4S's. The first one being is speed. You know, speed is number one in this market, as you know, we're
100%.
talking about whether it was back then with the automobile, and now we're in this AI revolution.
Yep.
Who's going to be first to it? The second thing being supply, whether it's the supply of power, the supply of having actual land to support this growth. And then the third thing would be sustainability. How are you going to scale this quickly to meet the demand, be fast, and also be responsible?
Sure.
And the last one being security. So those are the 4 S's where we believe have been identified with our partners as the most valuable and are non-negotiable to reach their goals of what they want to do today.
No, for sure. And you know, based off a little bit of our conversation, I think that, you know, especially at your organization, a lot of those 4 S's can be tied in together, right? Like I have to imagine the security and, you know, you guys being here stateside domestically, being able to create your product here. I mean, that in turn relates to speed and, you know, so, you know, where all are you guys located? You know, how do you guys deploy across the U.S.?
Yeah. To touch on that, Nucor is the largest steel producer and steel products producer in North America.
Okay.
We have over 300 locations, and we're fully vertically integrated. So I'll dive deeper into what that means. From the vertical integration side, we actually control our whole supply chain. So all our raw material is scrap. To put it simply, you think of an old car, going back to the automobile reference. Yeah. We take an old car, we'll smash it, and then we'll melt it down and make new steel, which will then go down to certain products of manufacturing to make a finished good. Whether it's a server rack to support those servers, or a hack system to support that infrastructure, or even rebar. Yeah. So that is that security and supply, and fully vertically integrated here, to your point, being domestic, to support that. And having the scale of 300 locations that are manufacturing multiple products to support that infrastructure and to support any type of region within the United States is really our value and sweet spot that we could support these partners.
Awesome. So you guys literally from steel roll through finished product, you guys control the whole thing.
That's absolutely.
Very
and
cool.
Within that, controlling that scrap and raw material, we take pride in controlling that supply chain. Yeah. There's been, as you know, within a couple years or even more so at this point, the demand has increased dramatically. There's been changes within the overall market. Yeah. And whether it's steel being the main component of the infrastructure, or other components of computing power and anything of that nature of being imported it's been more of a challenge to do so.
Especially right now with tariffs and everything else
Correct.
going on. Yeah.
Correct. So how do you as a partner to these large companies, how do you position yourself so that is not felt and they could focus on growing their business, meeting the demand, and us meeting that supplier partnership and making sure that they have that security with them?
Sure. And I'd have to imagine, with everything you guys are involved with and everything you're doing, you know, our industry's always changing, right?
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, like 18 months ago, if we would have talked to people about what we're doing today, they would have laughed. I mean, they'd be
Yeah.
like, that's not possible. Like nobody's doing that. And here we are, we're finding a way to do it and stuff. How are you guys staying ahead of that curve? And even, you look at some of the new racks and
Mhm.
configurations and everything like that we're doing, like it's not like anything that's been on the market to date, right? And so, I'd have to imagine you guys are heavily involved in working with clients and designers on what they want that to look like, what it needs to be able to do, and
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's moving quick.
yeah,
It's moving very, very, very fast. And luckily for us, we understand our manufacturing capabilities and also the raw material capabilities.
yeah,
So we're able to partner up with some of the top engineers in this space and utilize our engineers and our resources and expertise to help guide it. So as they move towards a certain design change, it's actually scalable.
sure,
Because trust me, there's a lot of creative people in this space and very intelligent. But if you don't have that connection of it being scalable, then it really can't go anywhere.
sure.
So that's really a value we can add and we support. And having that sweet spot has allowed us to ensure that when it comes down to the manufacturing, we do have that capability to support that growth.
Yep, yep. And you were listing all kinds of different things that you guys do. It, eh, do you find that you guys spend most of your time with the owner operators? Are you guys tied in pretty heavily with the trades and things like that? Like with all those products, I'd have to imagine it would be, we talk about speed to market and scale and deliverability, like having the ability to sit down with a manufacturer like yourself and be like, hey, here's my entire
Mhm.
parts list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what can you provide for me, right? Like, what's your guys' sweet spot? Do you find it is with the owner operator and being able to, diversify that way, or are you guys tied in at every level with all the different contractors and things?
Man, Jesse, that's a great question.
Yeah,
We are tied in every single channel to market just
sure.
based off the breadth of products we do have.
Yeah.
And those certain channels of what we bring value is again having that visibility and knowledge and also that interconnection internally with our whole company
Yeah,
to make sure all those channels are taken care of and all those customers taken care of with the same goal and vision of supporting the growth.
yeah,
So just to add a little more color there, we manufacture rebar. We manufacture joist and deck. We manufacture metal buildings, insulated metal panels, I-beams, fasteners, the white space infrastructure of hacks, the server cabinets. I mean, the list goes on and on. I know I'm
right.
missing some, but
Sure,
to your
sure.
point, all these certain products have different channels to market and different influences, whether it's design engineers, general contractors, subs, and obviously the end owner. But our mission, right, to help, or our vision to help that is to bring it all together and making sure what I mentioned before is hitting that end goal and meeting the demand of this full revolution going on with data centers.
Yeah. I had some interesting conversations earlier today just about scale and speed to market and honestly, the way we're building and the way we're approaching things today, it isn't like anything we've ever done, and it in order to be able to maintain this and be able to continue down this path. And for anybody listening that doesn't understand, like the United States is the country you want leading the charge in this. We are the ones that you want to ultimately win the AI race, right? And we're talking about how we're going to do that and how we can standardize and get to a point that we're going to be able to build at this large scale faster, right? And, I'd have to imagine finding a way to, sit down at the very early stages of these programs and say, hey, listen, you know, all the products you just listed, right? Like, I could see that being a way to standardize and scale and deliver quicker, saying, hey, we can knock all these things out at one stop, right?
Mhm.
Instead of, I got to run 20 different RFPs for all these
Yeah,
different products.
yeah, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Is that a future thought? Absolutely. I mean, the more standard from any type of manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
The more output you can really truly get. I think where it's going to start is more in the white space.
Sure.
We're,
Yeah.
we're seeing that happening at a quicker rate, especially when it comes to these hacks.
Yep.
Where how do you standardize to meet every seismic region?
Yeah.
And have flexibility if you do have, different size server cabinets or server racks. And then on top of all that is to deploy it at a quicker rate where it's more modular like construction.
No, 100%. And, I'm curious with the changes in density and just the overall different animal that AI is,
Mhm.
right? Are you guys finding yourselves having to create a lot of new products and solve these issues that we're running into, or are you guys able to, because you've been in the space so long, modify a lot of your current, uh offerings? And you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. So yes, we're looking further and further ahead, and what we're seeing to your point around density, and it's coming down to the infrastructure of how much it has to support from a weight standpoint.
yeah,
So we are now working with our partners of thinking years ahead of how do we design, engineer, and utilize our capabilities to meet that future need, rather than there's projects we've done a decade ago or 5 years ago are now having to be retrofitted.
yeah.
Let's work on the design engineering that far ahead, and whether it's the size of steel, the gauge of steel, to meet that need, that future need.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think if we were to back up 5 years ago or 3 years ago, uh, even in some cases still today, the supply chain and delivery of materials and things like that, like that used to always be our bottleneck. And I
Mhm.
think what we're seeing now is the bottleneck is becoming labor and the ability to deliver these products. And so, you know, I'd have to imagine you guys partner with a lot of different subcontractors that have the ability to install your hacks or your racks or this or that. And I'm curious, in the manufacturing side, are you guys seeing the same labor shortages that we're seeing? Let's face it, when I don't know how old you are, but you look close to my age. And, when we were growing up, being in a trade or working in manufacturing or doing any of these things that are all of a sudden ultra critical, that wasn't popular, right? It wasn't the model of success if you didn't go to a 4-year
Mhm.
college and do this or that. So I'm just curious are you guys feeling the effects of that as well with your manufacturing and things, or I know you guys got a bunch of stuff coming online, but I'm just curious because labor is such an issue for us.
Yep.
I'm curious how it's looking on the manufacturing side.
No, that's a great point. Nucor, we are very blessed. We have 32,000 teammates across
Wow.
the country,
Yeah.
and these teammates, it's like a family.
Yeah.
They've been incredible. They've been through many different cycles. I know there's whether it's this AI or this data center build out. There's been other build outs in the past, right? There was a huge warehouse boom probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and other cycles before our time too, right?
Yeah.
So we have that scalability based off what we've created in our culture and our teams, and really to your point, we can't do this without people.
Yeah.
And luckily here with Nucor, we have the people and we have the expertise and we have the scale. And through all of that, it it's incredible to see all this coming. But what has kept our culture and kept our team and making sure we continue that vision is our safety.
Yeah.
We are the safest. We are probably the safest steel company in the world at this point. And that has brought our team to a family-like unit to take care of one another. And once you create that, it just you could really get through anything together.
Hey, culture's everything,
Yep.
right? I deal in the people business as
Mhm.
well, right? People are we don't have a product. People are our primary line to generate revenue, and I couldn't agree with you more, right? Like we call it a tribe at Overwatch,
Yeah.
but same concept, right? And it's once you create an environment where I believe you have to provide people a couple things. One, uh, you need to provide them with a sense of purpose, right? But you also need to make them feel like they belong, right? And that's not easy to do,
Mhm.
and not everybody can do it. So I mean, kudos to you guys because I wake up every morning and that's at top of mind with, 250 people. I can't imagine what it's like with 33 plus thousand people, right? Like it's got to be pretty extreme. But man, I know, from chatting with you a little bit ago, I know you guys have some new exciting stuff coming online and what's next for you guys, right? Like
No, I appreciate the time, Jesse. And yes, what's next for us? We're actually coming online. It's been in the works for about a year now. Coming online with a new facility in Indiana that's going to be focused on these cabinets or racks, whatever you like to call them, to
sure.
support those servers within the white space within these data centers. So it's going to be a full scale manufacturing location for that.
Very cool.
But going back to what we were just talking about, the biggest thing and the most thing I'm proud of is that team there.
Yeah.
That team has taken on this challenge in Madison, Indiana, and I got to get a shout out to that leadership there, Pablo, David, Sean, and the list goes on. These are part of the 32,000 teammates. They saw this challenge and opportunity to solve it for these hyperscale partners,
Sure.
and within a year, we're going to be going online with this new scale facility by the end of the month.
That's very cool, man. That's very cool. I can't imagine, I see it from a people perspective, but the size and scale at which we're building, I can't imagine, what that is starting to look like from a bill of material
Yeah.
standpoint for you guys. And just the it it always blows my mind, you know, the average day person doesn't at all understand what goes into a data center or what it takes and how many just different parts and pieces there are that all have to line up. And having the ability to grow and scale like you guys have. And you know uh the Midwest is, becoming a huge market now. I'm from Ohio, so I'll have
Okay.
to. I still live there. I'll have to
I was
come
just
over
there.
sometime and see your guys' factory. But you know, a couple years ago there were no data centers up
That's
there. You know what I
point.
mean?
Yep.
And I have a firm belief that by the end of the decade, every household will know what a data center is, right? And it's because we're not slowing down our data consumption. We're not
Mm-mm.
we're not going to stop people from taking selfies. We're not going to slow down the TikToks and the Instagrams and everything in the world, right? And uh data centers are already mainstream and people just don't realize it. They don't understand what is behind their devices and their interests and what's powering it. And without products like your guys's, we wouldn't be able to deliver it. And it's always really cool to me to see and talk to all the different parts and pieces that go into it and just what it takes. And especially in today's world to do it the way you guys are doing it, where it's all US based. And that says a lot, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of organizations that don't do that
Mm-hmm.
and haven't been able to do that. And I think it shows in quality and things like that. And you know, I think it's phenomenal what you guys are doing. I'm a veteran, and a lot of people here are, and having pride in things that are built in the United States and built by Americans. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, you guys should be proud of that.
Oh, I appreciate that a lot, Jesse. And yeah, this to your point. 10 years is gonna look a lot different.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm having fun. You know,
yeah.
the team's excited, and that's what's important to me. They feel like there's a bright future ahead of what we're building, and they're excited to be part of it because you're right, it is becoming mainstream. And as long as that's in the forefront, right? We're having fun, we're taking care of one another, we're being safe. It's all systems go, man. We're excited.
100%. Well, man, I cannot thank you enough for sitting down and talking with me. And we're talking about all these things we need to go figure out and scale and grow to. We're at a great place that has a lot of the decision makers that are going to be deciding those things here. And maybe we should leave here and see if we can find one of those clients that's willing to do the turnkey thing we talked about and get the whole product, right?
That'd be great, man.
No, man, again, appreciate your time. I hope we can grab a drink here in a little bit and talk a little bit more, but really appreciate what you guys are doing, and you guys should be proud of that. And yeah, man, I'm not too far away. I'd love to come check out your facility.
That'll be great. You're welcome anytime.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Jesse.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.